least the composer feels confident that I will eventually begin to run into trouble, which is why he called the piece Failing. Failing, well, actually, underneath the title of it on the page, it's entitled A Very Difficult Piece for Solo String Bass, which is absolutely true. It was the hardest thing I've ever undertaken, to do two things simultaneously, talking and playing the double bass at the same time, and trying to make sense of both parts. Later on, there is more music and the task becomes more difficult. I think if I had to learn the piece from scratch now, I would find it a great deal easier than I did 10 years ago, because now I'm a mother of two, and when you become a mother, you get this capacity to do 10 things at once. Chasing children up the stairs, changing nappies, making supper, and blowing a nose. And the concept of doing failing with just talking and playing just seems like falling off a log.
I know if I was learning a piece like that, I'd make sure that the playing was automatic, so that I was free to concentrate on the speaking, because the speaking on stage is so difficult. And I think also the audience are quite shocked when you open your mouth. They say, "What? She speaks as well."
She speaks. She's got it. Yeah, exactly. This is a concept that I found that the first time I actually performed the piece, when I was actually confronted with an audience, that my mouth completely dried out. It felt like a bag of sand, and I didn't know what I could do with myself, because I'd started and I'd never had to speak in public before, and it was such a shock. I couldn't, I tried to swallow, there was nothing to swallow. I tried to lubricate my mouth, there was nothing in which to do that with. And so I think I did the whole piece in one breath, actually. By now, failing is extremely difficult.
When the playing and the speaking becomes more involved, just how precise is that?
There's not much precision. It's just like a printed letter, if you like. And then the musical notation is just splashed in here and there, and it's doing it within the given sentence, really. In failing, I am required to read a long text while playing music written above the text. The text must be read out loud at a more or less normal pace, and I must not allow the music to slow me down. The task is fairly easy for a while, because there is not much music, and most of it comes at the ends of clauses and sentences, almost like normal punctuation. Later on, there is more music and the task becomes more difficult. So difficult, in fact, that I will probably not be able to do it, without either slowing down my reading speed or else making mistakes in the music. At least the composer feels confident that I will eventually begin to run into trouble, which is why he called the piece Failing. This task is already rather challenging, but I have practiced the piece quite a bit, and that is a fact as well as simply a line in the text. So unless I am having a particularly bad night, I can still handle the music quite adequately without slowing down my delivery of the text. I should be able to keep everything well in tune and play the dynamic markings accurately. If I'm concentrating well, I should even be able to maintain a good balance between the speaking and the playing. And remember to make the text easy to understand, even though the mood of the music sometimes changes radically. But soon the music becomes more difficult yet, and I will probably start failing in one way or another. I should point out, however, that I'm not obliged to fail. After all, the audience cannot see the score I'm reading, and no one would ever be the wiser if I was simply to leave out whatever passages I am unable to play. People might be very impressed by my playing and think that I had succeeded in playing a piece which the composer thought could not be played successfully by any bass player. But of course, by leaving out the hardest parts like that, I would be cheating and the performance would not really be a success at all, since the piece is about failing. By now, failing is extremely difficult. That is, the piece called Failing is extremely difficult. There are a few relaxed moments now and then, But most of the time, I am required to play a tricky chromatic melody at a fast speed, and by now I'm probably beginning to fail in one way or another. Of course, I don't particularly enjoy failing, and sometimes I think it would be better if I cheated a little so that I would not fail too badly, and so that people would be more impressed by my playing ability. But on the other hand, if I do my best and play most of the music well, it should be clear that I'm doing the task as well as anyone could expect me to do it. Moreover, I will be interpreting the piece accurately, since it is obvious that failing is about failing. And if I succeed in playing everything accurately without slowing down my speaking or cheating or anything, I will fail to fail, and thus will miss the point. In a way, I almost want to fail, because everybody fails at certain times and in certain ways anyway, and because that is what the piece is about, and because I want it interpreted appropriately. But of course, I must not try to fail. I must try to succeed in doing the task well without slowing down and without missing notes, even though by now it is almost impossible to succeed for very long. If I tried to fail and then failed, that would be a kind of success and not a failure at all. So I must try to succeed. That way, when I fail to succeed, I will succeed in communicating the essence of the piece, even though I will fail to accomplish the task as it is set up. In other words, I will not be able to fail unless I'm trying to succeed. And I won't succeed in interpreting the piece sensitively unless my performance turns out to be a failure. Soon, however, I will be faced with a fresh difficulty. The text is about to run out, but the music continues for another minute or so. During that time, I must decide for myself what to talk about as I play. My remarks are to be genuinely improvised and should include specific references to this particular performance and to the degree to which I have been failing, or failing to fail, or failing to succeed to fail, or whatever. As before, I must continue to speak at a normal pace, in a normal tone of voice, and maintain a balance between the speaking and the playing. As an additional challenge, I am supposed to link the written part of the text with the improvised part of the text so smoothly that no one will be able to tell exactly where the improvised speaking began, which is not the usual sort of thing for somebody of my trade to have to do. But in all honesty, when I have to talk about this particular performance, I must say that it's been to the most unique audience of gaffers and chippies, a 10-and-a-half-week-old baby girl, not forgetting the battering ram. In the short space of time in which I've been playing, I've managed to play to every single angle of this room, to all sorts of images of myself because of all the mirrors. And at one stage, I was absolutely convinced I'd dropped my bow, but that must have been a figment of my imagination.